Welcome everyone to a very impromptu guide to how to make a lot of money in Island Sanctuary, but I'm not talking about guild, I'm talking about the cowries, which I'm going to call cow pies because it sounds like calories and it's very annoying. So, let me show you right now what my workshop has been doing. Let me show you the earnings. This was yesterday, and this is so far today. It is 5:07 p.m. just to give you an idea. So far today, they're also working on 2 more items: a 6-hour, an 8-hour, and another 6-hour. And I'm going to tell you how you can make a lot of money. The very first thing you need to know is do not base whatever you're going to do on the workshop on your own inventory. So I am not literally going through here, for example. Let me just show you the future. I'm not going through here in the workshop and going like, oh, let me see what I have, and based on what I have is what I'm doing. No. However, I am basing what I am going to make on whether or not it can be gathered, or even if I can get it, right? So keeping that in mind, let's go into the very first part, which is market analysis. Hooray! The market analysis is up here, so I'm gonna just click on it, and I'm gonna have to explain a couple of things just in short detail in case you haven't read the self-help thingy. But you are looking for things that have a predicted high demand and hopefully increasing demand and high popularity or very high popularity. So I am going to go into things that have very high popularity first, and I'm going to take a look. I'm going to look specifically on the things that have non-existent supply and preferably or insufficient supply and either increasing or skyrocketing demand shift. So that this essentially means the non-existent means you haven't sold any of that. So when there's no supply and there's an increasing demand, the price is going to go up. So you're going to want to at least take note of things that have either insufficient or non-existent supply. If something is sufficient, it's not going to sell for as much. You'll notice that the demand shift for these two that say sufficient, it just says none. This one says sufficient, also none. This one says sufficient, also none. It just seems like that's related, obviously. So you're looking for things that have high popularity because those are the ones that are going to sell. And you want to make sure you find at least 2 items that share a keyword. So I have here non-existent the brick counter and non-existent the shark whale. The brick counter says it is a furnishing or unburied treasure. The shark whale says sundry and marine merchandise. Unfortunately, those do not quite overlap. So I'm going to look then at perhaps high popularity instead of very high, and see if I can find something there that shares with the brick counter or the shark whale. So brick counter is a furnishing or unburied treasure. Let's take a look at that first. So I'm going to go to high, and I'm going to select category, a furnishing. That's the only one that shows up there. That's fine. That's good. Bronze sheep is a good idea. Buried treasure is the other one. Let's take a look. Unburied treasure. For those, that's not going to be good enough because it says the supply is sufficient. So it's not going to sell for very high. So I'm going to go with, or rather I already did. Let me show you what it says here. The brick counter, I went with the bronze sheep, then brick counter. But essentially that's what I'm gonna do. So the brick counter, right now when I look into supply and demand, I see that the brick counter is a very high popularity item. There's the brick counter. The non-existent supply is very helpful. Skyrocketing demand shift in the predicted demand is very high. So the popularity stays for the entire week. So the entire season, I guess they call it, which are 7 cycles. Each cycle is a Earth day. So we are looking to do that then, because that's going to the popularity right now is very high, and it's going to be the demand is still going to be very high in the future. So what I do, I set up the entire workshop. I'm going to fake one day so that you can see what that kind of looks like. I already said that I was going to do the brick counter and also the bronze sheep. So the brick counter is a furnishing on buried treasure, and the bronze sheep is a furnishing as well. But the bronze sheep is an 8-hour, right? And the brick counter is a 6-hour. So you're going to try to fill all the 24 hours, but try to start with a material that does not, use any expensive materials. So I usually, if I'm doing then 2 6s and an 8, that's 20 hours. So I stick in a 4-hour in the beginning just to round out the 24. If I'm gonna do 4 of these, that's another option. If I do 2 of the 8 hours, that kind of ruins, unless I'm doing 3 of the 8 hours, that kind of ruins the vibe, because I'm gonna have 2 extra hours that are not being used. I want to use all 24 hours. So how do I do this? Well, I have to alternate the crafts. Brick counter is furnishing unburied treasure. Let's take a look at a furnishing unburied treasure. Fire sand is a possibility, or what is fire sand? Fire sand. Let's take a look at the mana for fire sand, just because I'm curious. Hey, it's actually insufficient and increasing, very high demand, average popularity. So it's not terrible. So I'm gonna start with fire sand on all of them. I'm literally not going to look at my inventory. I do not care. Notice that I'm doing this at least 4 days in advance. There's a reason for that. Normally you want about 2 or 3 days in advance planning. It's ideal to plan this during your 5th day for the first day of the next season, because there's the 2 rest days. So I have the fire sand here. Now I'm gonna do the brick counter. So 4 and 6 makes 10 hours. And you'll notice there's efficiency bonus there. And because they share at least 1 keyword. And now I'm going to do the bronze sheep. And the reason for that is that shares a keyword with the brick counter, so I get the efficiency bonus. And I'm gonna do the same here and the same here. I'm not looking at all at my inventory for this. I'm just literally, I know that I can gather those materials. I don't care. Now, after the bronze sheep, I have 6 hours left. I did math. So I'm just gonna go and put another brick counter, which has the high popularity in low supply. So we're going to then fill out our 24 hours. That's it. We are done. Why do I have to plan this so many days in advance? A couple of reasons. Number one, to allow for the granaries to be able to find any materials that you might need, like raw garnet or something like that. Granary takes place every 24 hours, and you get them at 1 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. So right now I'm looking for hammerheads, so that's why they are in the Bending Beaches. If you have more of the landmarks, you actually get more resources back from this. I currently have 3 landmarks. I get 3 to 4 of the rare resources for each of these. So I'm gonna get 3 to 4 hammerheads, and that's fine. And that's gonna be every day. So if I plan to do shark oil, which takes 2, and I'm gonna do it on all 3 workshops twice a day, that's gonna be 12. That means that I'm gonna have to get at least 2 days of hammerheads. That's why you want to do this 3 days in advance, so 3 cycles in advance. And so the other reason is, what if you have any produce needed? Well, all the seeds in the produce require 2 days. So right now I have something on all of them, and there are some that he sells, and it's still beneficial to get them if you can't. The other ones you just get them from gathering. And if you need any amount of that, you're gonna need to do this. The third reason is the animals. So of course, based on the animals that you have here, you're gonna get some leavings, and you might need those for the crafts. So how do you figure out what did you need? you go into your material allocation, which is down here, and you go not just into current season, but you go into the next tab where it says current and next season. And I want you to focus on the last column, which says deficit, because that means specifically related to the workshop only what items you are short on. So basically I am short 1 of these island logs, 7 copper ore, 10 tin sand, 6 hammerheads, which I've already sent the granary to get, 2 island pumpkins, which I've already planted, and that's it. So that last column, especially if it's all zeros, that means you are completely taken care of for everything you set up on the workshop. So you want to go there, look at the market, select which items you want to make first, then look at the deficit and gather accordingly. So I need 7 island copper ore and I need a tin sand. I'm gonna go and get those materials and I will be right back. Alright, I'm about to gather my very last tin sand. You'll notice that it says here that the deficit is -1. I'm gonna gather the last tin sand here. And now I'm gonna check here. And my deficit says 0 for the tin sand. Now I'm gonna go gather my copper and make sure that it's also 0. Alright, I'm about to gather my last copper. And just to show you, it says 1 copper ore. And it says no copper ore. Alright, so once you gather all these materials, what about, well, the produce is very easy. What about the animals? Well, I have a solution for that as well. Let's go back and I'll show you how to take care of the animals. Real quick, if you recognize my glam, we are immediately friends and you have to like and subscribe. Alright, moving on. So, what exactly do I want to do for the animals? Well, depending on the animal, they always give a guaranteed drop and also a secondary possible drop. So based on what recipes you put in there, just make a note of which drop you want. Let's say you want carapace. The island carapace is dropped for sure from the Glyptodon pups and rarely from the Coblins. So what you would do is you would go and get however many Glyptodon pups or Coblins you need, roughly, preferably Glyptodon pups because they're the guaranteed ones, then divided by the number of days it'll take you so you don't have to get this many, and then you just put them all in your granary, in your pasture, and you feed them the cheapest thing. So you might have to gather some apples. In this case I have a bunch of the Coblins, and then I have a bunch of the, like 5 Glyptodon pups. These will automatically give me a carapace no matter what. These give me a carapace if they're happy and it's random. So how do you figure out which ones? I have found a website, thanks to lalachievements.com for this. Here we have the website. It's actually lalachievements.com/islands, and the first letter, the S, means it can be captured by the makeshift net. The M means it'll be captured by the makeshift restraint, and the L means it'll be captured by a makeshift soporific. So you look at the leavings. The very first one is guaranteed 100% of the time as long as they've been fed, and the second one is random. So if that recipe that you decided to put, let's say you have you're missing 5 carapaces or 6 carapaces for the things that you plan ahead of time, what you want to do is get at least 3 of these Glyptodon pups because they always drop carapace. You also want to get 3 apples because for each of those animals you're going to have to feed them at least the cheapest food. So get the Glyptodon pups, capture them, get the apples, feed them, and then the next day you'll have 3 carapaces, and then you'll go and gather 3 apples, make the 3 food, and feed them again so you can get the 3 more carapaces the second day. That's why we're doing a 2-day ahead of time preparation period. So if you need, say, eggs, you would capture wild dodos instead. 1 wild dodo for each egg that you need, divided by how many days you want to do it ahead of time. Or if you want to just get them all in once, you can do that. If you want to stock up on them, get a bunch of dodos, that's up to you. I for one have 6 or 7 Coblins myself. They give me carapaces most of the time, fangs always, And then I have 5 Glyptodon pups, and they always give me Carapace. If, by the chance, you recognize these names for my Glyptodon pups, you are also my friend, and you have to like and subscribe. So let's recap what we've learned. We've learned that we don't want to choose our workshop based on our inventory. We want to do it based solely on the market, and making sure that the recipes that are given to you, they always will be recipes that you can gather the materials for. And you want to prepare with at least a couple of days in advance, just in case you need to get rare materials with the granary, or plant produce to make it, or get enough leavings from the animals. For the leavings for the animals, make sure you capture the proper one that always gives you the leaving, so you can give them the cheapest food, and at 4 a.m. or 1 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, you will get your leaving. And that is precisely how you can get these kinds of results in one day. Because I prepared this last Friday, and this is for Tuesday, so I had enough of everything. I didn't have to worry about it. So what is the one thing you need to worry about before you log off for the night? Especially if you're still upgrading buildings and everything, you check your material allocation, go to current next season, scroll down, and make sure that if you do have any deficits, that whatever you have deficits on is produce you're growing, or leavings you're going to get, or granary items that you're currently obtaining. That is it for this short guide. I hope it was short, because I did not count anything. So if you want any information, just comment down below and tell me if it actually worked for you. And if you have any questions, let me know. Alright, have fun guys, get some calories, get some mounts. Don't spend any calories yet until everything is upgraded, so that you can, expedite this process. Alright, take care, bye.